Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm gonna be giving you what if Naruto never stopped evolving and leveling up, guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episodes over on the other channels. Yes, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing from me, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on as well, guys. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah, become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump into this brand new episode? Let's begin the intro, guys. So the last part we left off. For the better word, someone was stalking Naruto. They entered his apartment. Their features were hidden and obscured, as they were simply looking around, focusing on the photo of the young boy. When Naruto got home, he could feel that something was not right here. In that moment, Naruto showed just how powerful his evolution was, as he forced his eyes to evolve. Which was truly shocking, yes. He forced his eyes to evolve. He was able to see the aftermath of everyone, the residue of chakra that surround their form, allowing him to track anyone. And there was a humongous power source that was once in his apartment not too long ago. He informed the Hokage about this, as the Hokage put envoys on standby, knowing that someone has been slipping in and out of the village and has been watching Naruto. They decided to take this threat seriously, as Naruto wasn't your average individual after all. As for Naruto, he ended up meeting the Sand team. In that moment, Naruto was working on his bloodlust. He used it against the two, quickly showing them who was the dominating one here. His strength was immaculate, and it scared them, as he met Gaara not too long after. Despite Naruto being calm and rather simple, it seems, they could tell that he was much more stronger than he let on. He was signed up for the Chunin exams by Kakashi. As Naruto went home that night, the same person entered his apartment, and this time, Naruto was able to react, having long since evolved, needing sleep. However, the person showed that he was not here to harm him. His words even proved that, as he told him that he would never hurt him, which confused Naruto. The way he spoke was like they were familiar, but the person went away without giving too much, disappearing in a flash, just like that. When the day finally came, as they all went up to participate within the exams, Sasuke and Lee got into a little tumble, but my guy put a stop to that. With that said and done, they made their way off. During the first exam, Naruto let his bloodlust loose and ended up knocking out a good percentage of the participants there. When Anko found out about this, all she did was laugh, as she felt proud of this, proud of the kid. During this, the Nine Tails was trying to understand just what the hell was going on. The person that was following Naruto was familiar to the Nine Tails. It could not put its paw on it, but its power seemed so familiar. Other than that, the beast was trying to understand just what in the world was this boy, because he highly doubted that Naruto was human. There was no part of him that signaled that he was a human. Humans did not evolve like this. Most people tend to underestimate the word evolution, but the Ninetales being inside of Naruto could see the full extent, and the beast was seeing just how monstrously powerful that Naruto was becoming. Entering the exams, the forest of death, as Naruto embarked upon another journey after speaking with Anko. Team 7 had been getting along rather well as they were able to come to the same conclusion. As they made their way, Team 7 got their scroll rather quickly. Sasuke was bummed out by that because he thought this was the only fighting opportunity that he would get, but Naruto told him that there has to be more. After all, it's not like anyone could see his skills in here, and you need more than a written test to become a Chunin. That got him excited again until they ran into Orochimaru of the Sannin. Naruto reacted a lot faster and saved his teammates from the snake, but in the process he got swallowed. The snake tried to carry him as far as possible, but Naruto ended up freeing himself as he burst out of the reptile. When Naruto got back, in 1 minute and 40 seconds, Sasuke was branded by Orochimaru. Naruto took on the Sannin, giving his teammates time to leave. Orochimaru underestimated Naruto and that was costing him. That was until that thing pulled up, because that was definitely not a human. Orochimaru tried to make a move, but it split him in half, and it barely moved. Luckily, the Sannin regenerated. It then turned its wrath upon Naruto, contradicting what it said in the apartment that it would never hurt him by bisecting Naruto before splitting his head clean open. It then burned his corpse. As Naruto was supposed to be dead, even the fox was surprised, as the mindscape was not crumbling. Out of the ashes of the smoke, Naruto reborn, stronger and better. The person clothed Naruto with a strange white and grey clothing. As he picked him up and started to walk, he informed Orochimaru that he was not here to kill him. In fact, he would play a vital role into what is to come. He left Naruto by Sakura as she looked out to see the person, but he vanished. When Naruto woke up, Sakura told him everything. Naruto was trying to understand the concept that he actually died, as he was able to speak to the Ninetales. The beast wasn't as bad as he thought. The beast was also worried about whoever this person was, as they had a bigger issue to worry about at the moment. As for Sakura, Naruto allowed her to rest before Sasuke woke up and tried to challenge Naruto. Upon knocking him out, Sasuke reverted back to normal, the curse mark no longer plaguing him. With that, they made their way. As they got to the tower, Naruto still could not get over the fact that he died. However, the person showed up as Naruto went out. He said that he didn't mean to harm him. Naruto was confused, given the fact that he killed him. That is when the person revealed that he would never harm him because he was his father. So yeah guys, basically that's what I thought. If you guys can switch across the place of yourself so to be in this new episode. The heavens quake. Lightning rained through the air. Thunder shook the very air itself. It was like the atmosphere. It was like Mother Nature knew the seriousness and the surprise of the situation taking place. Standing outside of the tower, Naruto stood as he watched the man unfurl, removing the hood from his head, removing the bandages that obscured most of his features, allowing Naruto to see long white hair that rested going down his back. His skin did not seem similar to his at all. If anything, it was a bit pale, having this strange milky color about it as well. But his eyes were unusual. The outer layer of his eyes looked like the Byakugan, but that can't be possible because it had a pupil. The Byakugan did not have a pupil, and yet this man had a renounced pupil looking back at Naruto. Naruto was so confused, not quite understanding just what was currently going on at the moment. And when Naruto saw his hands, he was more confused. His hands had closed eyelids in the center of his palm. There was a slash that started from the right side of his nose that ran straight down and went towards his neck and went within his shirt. Naruto did not drop his guard as lightning flashed between them. The man transitioned in that split second as he was now standing directly in front of Naruto. "There is no need to fear, my son," he said. "As I told you, my objective was never to hurt you." Naruto slapped his hand away. "Let's get one thing straight. I don't know who or whatever the hell you are, but I'm not your son, and you killed me," said Naruto. The man looked rather amused by Naruto's statement. "Killed you? Far from it," he said. Naruto reached behind him as he started to generate lightning in his palm. As the man looked at him rather calmly, his age was hard to define, but if Naruto was to guess, he seemed like he was in his early 50s, maybe 51, 52. He was a well-grown adult. As I said, there is no need to try to fight. And me killing you is something that can never be achieved. After all, a being as yourself is unkillable. A being as myself? What the hell are you talking about?" said Naruto. "It's understandable that your memories would not recover. After what happened all those years ago, I almost gave up, believing that I would never ever find you. But here you are, along with these lesser life forms. You somehow integrated yourself within this human form, becoming one of them. But I can feel your power returning steadily, slower than it should have originally taken, but I suppose that is an after effect of what took place." "Enough of your confusing words. What the hell are you talking about?" said Naruto. "And why do you speak like we've seen each other before? The only time I ever saw you was from you sneaking into my goddamn bedroom and from you killing me in the forest. As I said, you are unkillable. And we have seen each other before because, as I stated to you, I am your father." "You're lying," said Naruto. "That I am not. You might have a representation of a father on this planet. However, that is just a representation of something that you are not. But I was the one. I was the one that brought you into existence. I created you as him, the one above all." Naruto stepped back as he narrowed his gaze towards the man. "There's a lot that you don't know. A lot of answers that I can give you. But you are not ready. Even my actions to make you stronger have only helped just a little. It seems your evolution is moving much slower than I originally thought. But I can feel it. That trigger that is coming very soon. That will free you from the binds of this mortal core that you've infested yourself with. This planet and these people seem to be helping your growth. Perhaps it is your nurture to help and protect those you've come to see as friends. A complete misunderstanding of your purpose and your true objective. However, you seem to have taken it in thrives and using that to make yourself stronger. It is your whole personality after all, evolving and understanding, leveling up. So I shall not intervene for now. However, if the process does not click how I desire it to, I will intervene to put my hand in the race. After all, now that your power is growing, it won't be too long before they find out where you are. And once they do, they will come for you." Who? Who is gonna come for me?" said Naruto. The man gazed up in the sky. "The Otsutsukis." "What? Who the hell are they?" "You should know them rather well. They were the ones that made you the way you are right now. Your battle with them, you being solely responsible for wiping out 90% of them, removing them from the hierarchy of what they used to be, eliminating their strength in numbers, eliminating most of their powers. However, a lot of years has passed, and they've used that time to make themselves even more stronger. And the survivors know you all too well. And they will come for you. And they will rain destruction and death on this planet like you've never seen before. And there will be nothing you could do to stop them in the state that you're currently in. They will trap you this time. And you will never get your freedom ever again. Unless you break the connection of these mortal corals that you've connected yourself with. Everything that was being bombarded on Naruto was becoming a bit too much. As Naruto looked at this person, this news everything about some beings coming to fight him. Who the hell even are you? Said Naruto. My name is Zoldyck. Zoldyck Otsutsuki. Naruto held his hand out as lightning fired towards Zoldyck. However, he dodged it. Aren't you supposed to be one of the enemies I should be worried about? Said Naruto. Lightning flashed as Zoldyck stood behind Naruto. No, you should not. I'm the only reason why you have your freedom. And I'm the reason why you are brought into this universe. So you should be happy for my existence, Zoldyck said. But for the time being, I will do my best to ward away any Otsutsukis from finding out. There are a lot of scouts in the area. I myself am being hunted by them as well. For reasons I'm not going to get into right now. But just like before, I myself cannot trigger your evolution. However, this environment is making you vastly stronger. And within my recent tests that I've done on you, that something that you claim to be your death, I see your growth. This environment, these people. I believe that in due time, you will break these mortal shackles that you've somehow bind yourself with and return back to what you once were. And what the hell is that? Said Naruto. You will know soon enough, Zoldyck said, as he took to the heavens and flew off. Naruto watched the man head straight up. Naruto saw a sonic boom as he seemed to increase his speed. The clouds parted away. Could someone really be that powerful, Naruto thought? And if he was that powerful, why would he be running from people? How powerful were they? For the remainder of the days, Naruto was locked in his thoughts. He hasn't told anyone about this. Not Uncle, not anyone. He's been keeping this to himself. Shocked by the revolution that he just found out. It did not seem like Zoldyck was lying, even if he was, Naruto could have tell. Given how fast his senses had evolved, he always knew that his evolution wasn't normal, but now, was he really not what he really was? It was simply hard to fathom and hard to understand. Naruto felt something as he closed his eyes. Tomorrow would be the starting of the exam once again. He reached down deep until he found himself in that same place. Laid out in front of him was the massive beast behind the cage. As Naruto looked at the nine tails, I never thought I would be saying this, especially to you. But I'm very glad to see you, said Naruto. Kurama was a bit caught off guard by the greeting, as the first time that him and Naruto had met was when he believed that he was going to die. And that wasn't too long ago. You must have felt it, didn't you? Said Naruto, stepping closer. It was the same person that killed me. He was here. And he told me that I'm his son. He's my father. Which makes no sense. He called himself a Otsutsuki. The strangest part is, he's not from this world, said Naruto. And neither am I. But can that really be possible? Am I some kind of alien? You're in here, a part of me. You should know. Am I fully human? Said Naruto. Kurama was silent for a long while. making Naruto a bit anxious as he waited for the response. When the beast finally spoke, "You are not," he said. The Nine Tails got a brief flashback. The moment Naruto said not from this world, his father, the man that was known as a Sage of Six Paths, once spoke about a war that went on for days upon days upon days. A war that resulted in their creation from the beast that they all generated from. His mother. His father did not give much information, but his mother was not from this world. Immediately, Kurama understood it. The sensation that felt so familiar. That person felt like his father. It was the same presence. That is why he thought he knew the person. Given the constant evolution of Naruto's body, his body adapting to the senses and things around him, Kurama being a part of him was feeling that as well. Naruto looked down, completely shocked. His world being turned upside down. Hearing that from the thing that was inside of him shattered him. The way that Zoldyck spoke, it did not seem like he was born naturally. Yes, he knew about the bird and bees and all of that. It seems like he was a creation. Then why? There was so much that he did not know when Zoldyck was gone, and he had no idea where he went. Listen to me, brat. Naruto gazed up towards Kurama. This is no time to be sulking over that right now. Because if I'm correct, there's a far greater danger coming for us. Danger? You mean the other Otsutsukis? What do you mean other? Kurama said. Zoldyck, my father. He told me that other Otsutsukis like himself will be coming. And they're coming here with the intention to capture me. Kurama growled, slamming against the bar out of frustration. Given the fact that he seemed to be unable to exit Naruto, granted the child had not completely died. Then, we have a bigger problem at hand, so stop sulking about your stupid situation, because we have much greater dangers to face. We, said Naruto. Don't twist my words. I despise you and all the other humans, and the moment I get my freedom I'll rip you apart. But for the time being, I'm stuck with you, and if you die, I die as well. So we're gonna have to find a way to make sure that doesn't become a reality. As much as I hate your guts. Naruto steeled his emotions as he simply bottled them all up. You're right. I'll focus on that later. And if you do escape that you will defeat me and kill me, you have another thing coming, said Naruto. However, we do have a greater threat. But I need to get stronger. Far, far stronger than what I am right now. If I'm going to protect the people I care about, Naruto said. Time skip. On the day of the other part of the exam, Naruto was barely paying attention. Anko from on top of the podium with the others noticed that, as it seemed like he had a lot on his mind. She wondered if this was about the exam. As she's known Naruto for a long time now, knowing how he thinks, knowing how he reacts to certain situation, and whatever was going on was something big, she could tell. Her gaze then wandered over to the Uchiha that was also branded with the curse mark. It was her option that Sasuke should not continue on in the exams. However, the Hokage did not take him out of the exams, but she feared for his mental health going on, because unlike her, the mark was still fully activated. Luckily though, Sasuke's name was the first to show. His opponent was a member of Kabuto Yakushi team, who also left claiming to be injured from the forest since he arrived late. The battle did not last for too long. During the match though, the mark on Sasuke next started to act up. However, he showed the resilience that he possessed, surprising Anko as he ended the match with pure taijutsu only. With that said and done, as Naruto watched Kakashi arrive and took Sasuke away, Naruto's mind was locked and focused on his own problem at the moment. Since exiting his mindscape, he could now hear the voice of the fox in his mind, while the both of them still did not really care for one another. They were stuck this way and they were the only two that knew about this great threat. Naruto felt it was best to not tell anyone about this, as he needed more information. Zoldyck would not come and give the information to those that he were to tell. And Naruto did not want to cause a panic or make people think that he was going crazy. For the time being, he will simply wait until he knows everything regarding himself and what was currently going on. However, he needed to get a lot stronger just in case this was actually truthful. In case Zoldyck was a monster that wanted to use him for some reason, as Naruto did not trust him at all. As the matches took place, as Sakura even spoke to Naruto about what was currently going on, he wasn't really paying attention that much. Despite speaking and answering her questions, his mind was mostly focused on what was currently going on with his life at the moment. As Kakashi ended up returning, Sasuke's mark was sealed. Sakura was to go next. Her opponent was Ino Yamanaka. Both girls seemed to have grown stronger in their time apart from the academy. However, their strength seemed to be equal at the moment, as they end up knocking one another out. Kiba Inuzaka's name was called, followed by Naruto Uzumaki. Kakashi was the one to tap Naruto on the shoulder to get his attention, wondering what was currently on his mind, as he wondered if it was the encounter with the Sannin. Making his way down there, Kiba had a smirk on his face as he saw Naruto. Not remembering much from Naruto within the academy, Kurama smiled to herself. Kiba was a hand-to-hand expert because of the training that he received from his clan. That was his main thing, close range. So the moment he got close to Naruto, it would be over. Naruto does not stand a chance, Kurama thought. As Naruto stood down there, Kiba smirked towards him. "I never thought that you would be my opponent, Naruto," he said. "This is going to be way too easy." Naruto blinked as he looked up. "Did you say something?" Kiba's sweat dropped at that, as Guy also twitched. It seems like his students were taking on his uncool attitude. "What did I say?" said Kiba. "Well, I'm gonna make you hear it loud and clear." Naruto decided to focus on the match at the moment, as Kiba placed Akamaru down, who started to bark. "Ready, boy?" he asked. The moment the proctor gave the go-ahead, the both of them ran in, as they came at Naruto. However, everyone was surprised how easily Naruto dodged them like they were nothing, stepping aside and moving aside like they weren't even a threat. Neji, Hyuga, and Rock Lee, their gaze also looked towards Naruto's movements, so effortless. Akamaru jumped towards Naruto as Naruto caught him in his arms, holding the dog up by his paws. "You shouldn't have done that," Kiba said, as he flicked Akamaru a pill. The dog first started to turn red as it lashed out, forcing Naruto to release it. It then turned and jumped with the intention to bite his arm. However, that was a distraction for Kiba to rush forward. Naruto weaved under Akamaru as he slammed into his own partner. As Naruto stepped away and turned, Kurama was getting curious about this boy. How was he so easily evading Kiba? Uncle shouted out, "Kick his ass," she said. A big grin stretched across her face, causing Naruto looking up towards her. As a smile graced his features, the people that he was fighting for, his precious people. It reminded him of what Haku had said. Naruto decided to focus more on the match, as Kiba decided to put an end to this. "It seems you have gotten stronger," Kiba said, "but not nearly enough because this is over." "Man-beast transformation," he said, causing Akamaru to turn into a copy of him. And now, Fang over Fang! He attacked Naruto by spinning Both him and Akamaru separated at the last moment, going in the opposite direction than they came in. However, what happened next shocked the crowd, as Naruto did not move. Instead, he thrust his hand out. Fangs, teeth, claws, everything was spinning to grit everything apart. And yet, Naruto pushed his hand directly into the spinning death trap of both Akamaru and Kiba. Kurenai ever Jonin eyes went wide in shock, as Anko smiled. Kakashi seemed rather proud as well, as the both of them ripped at Naruto's arm. However, his skin was barely being blemished. His death, his return had made him even stronger than he originally thought. Their attacks were not strong enough. The both of them came to a stop as Naruto was holding the both of them by the throat. Everyone was shocked how easily he tanked the technique like it was nothing, with his bare hands. Was that even possible? Some of them wondered. Naruto then threw them. It seemed like he used a little bit of effort, and yet they both slammed into the wall, Akamaru crashing and returning back to his normal form. Kiba looked towards his partner. Kiba turned his gaze as Naruto was in front of him, his fist cocked back. Kiba's eyes went wide. Boom! Everyone was speechless to what they were seeing. Kiba was sweating as he collapsed down to his knees. The wall behind him had exploded outwards. A gaping hole. Kiba was trembling as Naruto pulled his hand back and dusted his fist off, completely unharmed without a single blemish at all. As Naruto was not paying attention despite his fear, Kiba believed that this was the opportunity and decided to deliver an uppercut, only for Naruto to grab his arm. "It's time to sleep," Naruto said, as he delivered a voltage straight to Kiba's system. The boy spasmed before he collapsed, out like a light. "It seems I have gotten stronger," said Naruto. "A lot stronger than I originally thought." As Naruto stepped back to the center, everyone's gaze was on him. "What?" he asked, as they looked more shocked than they should be for him just winning the match. Kurenai could not believe it, and yet she thought that Kiba had this one in the bag. But this Naruto individual was far stronger than she originally thought. As the other matches took place, it came down to a select few for the finals, as Naruto drew one of the balls. His opponent was Neji Hyuga, a ruthless Hyuga that almost killed Hinata. Naruto knew Hinata rather well, despite the both of them not being so close. The girl was one of the kindest person that he knew. She couldn't hurt a fly. It kinda feels strange as she was a ninja, given how sweet she was. And yet Neji deal with her like she was a dog to be slaughtered. He didn't have to go that hard. It angered Naruto, but it was not his place to say. However, he would show Neji what it feels like to be weaker than someone, to be completely defenseless. Many people brag about the Hyuga clan, some saying that he was some sort of prodigy, but Naruto did not care. Sasuke wasn't here, as the one to draw for him was Kakashi. Naruto narrowed his gaze dangerously towards Sasuke's opponent. It was Gaara of the desert, a very powerful psychotic individual that almost killed Rock Lee for no reason. Sasuke was gonna have to be really careful with this one. Naruto was summoned to the office after the exam came to an end. They all had 1 month to train and prepare to face off against their opponents, so with that they were released. Time skip. Naruto had to lie to Hiruzen, telling him that he did not know who the person was that Sakura saw. He was fighting Orochimaru and he blacked out, and he woke up in these new clothing. The implications of that was rather dangerous. However, they had no leads on anything, as Naruto did not see anyone. Thus, he told them, as he kept the secret to himself. Uncle came to him afterwards, wanting to know what was going on, as it hurt Naruto to lie to her, but he did. He told her that he thought he was going to die when he was facing Orochimaru, and it put into perspective just how much stronger he needed to become, which was partly truthful. Hiruzen told him that he had someone to help him, to meet them at this location. It was nearby the hot springs. Naruto simply went along with it. As he was going there, he was thinking about his ability. His body constantly evolved, but that wasn't the only thing, it also leveled up as well. Just like when he fought Haku and Zabuza back then, his body leveled up to be stronger, and his body evolved, with the transformation jutsu allowing him to transform into the actual things that he turned into, more than once now. And his leveling up came in when he fought strong opponents. The more he fought, the more he leveled up and become stronger. However, whenever his body was introduced to a new substance, it leveled up to overcome it, or it leveled up to adapt to it, therefore allowing him to gain lightning abilities, from Kakashi hitting him with the Shidori by accident. Well, he was the one that jumped in the way. He was hit with fire, and he was able to produce flames. However, him being sliced to pieces and burned, it made him a lot stronger. His skin was more durable. Kiba attack was able to thread and tear through the stones like it was nothing, and yet he barely touched Naruto's skin, just to show how much powerful his skin, his durability had become. Arriving, Naruto was wondering if he was getting stood up. That is when he heard something. Making his way, Naruto saw a man sitting in the tree. A smirk graced his features. Everything has been so serious lately, but there was still time for fun, he supposed. Uncle was a master in the craft of pranking. However, some of her pranks tend to be extremely dangerous, especially on perverted individuals. He remembered the time, you know what, best not to think about that right now. Naruto transformed into a snake and slid her up the tree. The moment he was behind the man, he turned his back before he transformed into a horse and kicked the man right into the lady hot spring. Naruto flipped as he jumped off. He started to laugh his ass off as he heard the girls beating the living crap out of him. Moments later, the man emerged, beaten and bruised, as he saw Naruto and ran straight up towards him. "Hey brat, did you do that?" he yelled. Naruto couldn't help the laughing fit that took over him. The man was rather serious though. "You deserve it. You're a pervert peeping on those ladies," Naruto said to him. "That was my research, you brat, and you just ruined my notebook," he said, pulling out the dripping notebook. "Well, it's your fault for peeping on them. You're just lucky that Uncle is not here, otherwise she would have done something much worse. Besides, it's good to laugh every now and again." "Well, not for you, I suppose," said Naruto, stuffing his hands in his pockets. As Naruto started to walk away, "Do you even know who I am?" the man asked. "Why should I?" said Naruto. The man then went into a strange introduction. It reminded Naruto of Rock Lee and Guy, as Naruto looked around, wondering if this man could also change the fabric of reality itself as well. However, he did not. When he introduced himself as a Sani, Naruto narrowed his gaze, thinking of the snake Sani that he had an encounter with. He had no idea what happened to Orochimaru, if he got away or if he was dead. However, he already told Hiruzen that he blacked out, so he couldn't afford to give any more information on him. "Wait," said Naruto. "Are you supposed to be my teacher? The Hokage sent me here. Are you my teacher?" "Now why would I teach a brat like you? That just ruined weeks of research," he said. "Well, never mind then," said Naruto. "After all, I don't want to be the student of a pervert." "Well, that's where you're wrong, kid. I'm not just any normal pervert," he announced. Naruto had to really wonder if this was an adult. as he introduced himself as a Super One. You know, perhaps you need some help, Naruto said. Hey, wait, you brat. Do you have any idea the amount of people that would throw themselves into a fire just to get me to teach them, and yet you're walking away? I'm pretty strong on my own, said Naruto. I don't think I need your help that much. Besides, you weren't even able to prepare or react to me sneaking up on you. And how do you know I did know that you were there? Because you did not, said Naruto, as he turned his back on the man. However, Jiraiya was now in front of Naruto. Impressed, he said, looking down at the surprised look on Naruto's face. Maybe you're not just a pervert, said Naruto, but why? Would the Hokage get you of all people to train me? Maybe because you're not any normal kid, huh? What exactly do you know, said Naruto. Well, I know a lot of things. I am the Great. Don't even bother going into another introduction, said Naruto. Jiraiya's sweat dropped. Tuh, lucky brat receiving training from me and yet acting like he's better than me, he whispered. What was that, said Naruto. I said, Jiraiya repeated what he said much louder. I thought so, said Naruto. So what exactly can you help me with? What exactly can you do, the Sannin said. After all, I'm going to need reprimand for my help. Like payment, said Naruto. I think I can think of something, Jiraiya said. Maybe a little payback. The Sannin grabbed Naruto and threw him over the fence, as he expected to hear some screaming, but nothing like that happened. There wasn't even a splash. Jiraiya went up the tree and looked over. Where the hell did he go, he said, as Naruto appeared behind the Sannin. Once again, he said, as he turned back into a horse and kicked the Sannin, making sure to transform back to normal before his weight landed on the branch and make it broke. Jiraiya crashed inside once again and got the life beaten out of him. As for Naruto, when the Sannin threw him over, Naruto transformed into a fish. He then turned into a fly the moment he jumped out in his fish form and appeared behind the Sannin. A bruised and bloody Jiraiya came out, looking more pissed than before, as Naruto was on his back laughing. It was good to laugh in these situations after all. Time skip. Naruto was screaming as he was halfway in the sky. He was on the back of a massive toad. To become the summoner, a challenge was set, as Naruto had to last for the entire day on the back of Gamabunta. That is when he would recognize him as his summoner. Naruto was not using any chakra, felt it best to use his own ability to stick to something. However, Gamabunta was not making it easy. Jiraiya stood on the ground watching the kid. He had to say, this boy possessed two amazing abilities. His evolution along with his leveling up could possibly make him one of the strongest beings throughout this entire planet, surpassing some legends, even those of the Sage of Six Paths. Jiraiya truly underestimated what the evolution and level up meant, but now seeing it in action, truly understanding what they meant after speaking to the boy, Jiraiya was beyond impressed. However, something was taking place, as Naruto was on Gamabunta back for hours. The constant sensation of nature energy was around the toad, yes. Toad has a much easier time of using nature energy. It was like a second nature for them. The toad body was reproducing the energy around it, and Naruto was currently on the back of the toad. From earlier use of Naruto simply wanted to know who was in his apartment, and his eyes leveled up and evolved to allow him to track chakra signatures with his eyes alone. The constant flow of nature energy, didn't matter how small it was, introduced to his system forced his body to evolve as well. As Naruto would not let go, Gamabunta was actually impressed. As he thrust and threw Naruto all about, Naruto's stamina also evolved as well. As the day turned to night, Gamabunta jumped, the highest that he's ever jumped. As Naruto here was standing upwards, his body suspended there. His word reached a giant toad. I guess I passed your challenge and now I'm a toad summoner. Gamabunta actually smiled at the kid, sticking it out. They came down back with a fury of none other as a toad slammed down on the ground. The force actually threw Naruto off as he flipped in mid-air, but the time was already up. Perhaps a part of Naruto loosened himself as well. Gamabunta tongue lashed out and grabbed Naruto despite the fact that Naruto was perfectly capable of saving himself as he set the boy in the ground. You're not so bad, kid, he said. Even if you are just a stupid little brat. His words actually amused Naruto as Naruto laughed. For the rest of the time, the Sannin trained Naruto in several sense, given the vast array of abilities that Naruto possessed, teaching him how to properly harness that lightning and the fire as well. As the time went on, it was finally time to begin. On the special day, the place was packed with people from all over, here to witness the phenomenal Chunin exams. Yes, everyone was here. They wouldn't miss it. Naruto arrived, seeing the place swarming with people from all over. He was actually looking forward to this. Throughout the month, him and the Nine Tails has been talking a lot as well about his growth and about his training, as Naruto could feel himself becoming stronger. But that wasn't all. Something else was different. Naruto could feel this calmness around him, as he soon identified that calmness to nature. At the moment, he did not know exactly what that represented, but he knew after spending that entire day with a toad that his body was accumulating to the nature around him. He wondered how far this evolutionary state would push him. He couldn't wait to see. However, he was here today. As the announcer was given the reins after the Hokage welcomed everyone for being here, the purpose of the Chunin exams, it caused the people to cheer as they were ready to see many fights taking place today. Naruto could see the eyes of Gaara, as he was actually worried for Sasuke. However, he doubted that Uchiha would allow himself to be bested that easily. There was no doubt in Naruto's mind that Sasuke has been training a lot and waiting for the moment to show it off. Given the fact that he wasn't even here, must be putting in some last minute work. As Naruto couldn't wait to see. He could see Sakura from here in the crowd, along with the others. Ino was there and several others as well. As Naruto was going to do his best, he was also going to make Neji realize that going up against your family that violently was never the right thing to do. It was recently that Naruto found out that they were actually cousins, as he couldn't believe that you would treat your family so hard. He himself did not have a family by blood, and if he did, he would never actively try to end their life. He gazed up as he saw Anko, who had bet a lot of money on Naruto. Many others had bet on Neji, him being the prodigy of the clan after all, but Anko had no doubt in her heart and her mind that Naruto was going to win. Kurama was even surprised by her friend. Yes, Naruto was stronger than she originally thought, but everyone was speaking about this young boy, Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of the clan. But Anko had no doubt in her mind that Naruto got this. The first match was Shikamaru versus Temari, which lasted for 2 hours and ended up with Shikamaru giving up. Many of the people did not like that, but he claimed to be running out of chakra, and it shows when his shadow receded, but his actions seemed to affect Temari. Strangely, perhaps it was his attitude. As Naruto stood there looking down, watching everything took place, knowing that he was next, calmly making his way down there. Neji wasn't a big fan, it seems. The disdain that he had in his eyes. As Naruto looked at him, Neji looked rather amused. I thought you'd have realized that fate is in my hands today, and you cannot win. Fate? Is that what you call it when you brutalize an innocent girl for no reason? Innocent? Neji's tone changed as Naruto's words aggravate him. Shut your mouth, you know nothing. However, Naruto was relentless. His bombarding kept on, aggravating Neji over and over until he ripped off his headband, cursing at Naruto, cursing at Hinata, the mark that keep him like a caged bird. After his reveal, something that stirred within Hayashi, Hinata's father. Naruto cursed back at him. No one is subjugated to any goddamn fate, Naruto said. Everyone made their own fate. There's nothing as such. Neji looked at him like he was a fool. Aiming to prove Naruto wrong, he dashed forward to do some serious damage. On top of the roof, Jiraiya stood there looking down, watching as Naruto got to work. However, none of them noticed someone high in the sky, able to see everything from where he was. It was none other than Zoldyck Otsutsuki. Zoldyck Byakugan was strange, given that he had a pupil in the center of it, which was rather bright. However, the veins were pulsating at the back of his head, which was not normal because they went straight around. This Byakugan seemed to be above your normal Byakugan, as he was watching Naruto participate in the match down below. Meanwhile, Neji was confused because he could not lay a hand on Naruto. Neji was striking at his best. However, Naruto seemed to be reading his movements beyond just seeing them. He seemed to be reading them before he even made them. Frustrated, Neji started to push himself even harder, his eyes pulsating as he attacked Naruto with a vigor unlike before. However, Naruto's footwork was immaculate. The people in the stands were rather shocked. Anko had a smile on her face. What did I tell you, she said. Perhaps you weren't far off, Kurama said. Huh, this kid is really something else, huh? Asuma chimed in. As they looked down below, ah yes, young Naruto has the fire of youth burning inside of him. Both of them does, Guy said, in cheer of both of the boys, fighting in their springtime of youth. He did not seem to care that Neji was his student, as he just seemed to be happy with the both of them testing their limits. They clashed against each other vigorously, as Naruto was somehow meeting Neji's strikes. On closer attention, people realized that Naruto was coating his hands in chakra. The Hyugas were surprised to have this much balance over your chakra, to be able to mimic the Hyuga striking technique. Impossible, Hayashi said, as Neji and Naruto's hands clashed vigorously. Hinata couldn't believe it, as it reminded her of her match with Neji when they were going at it. Both of the boys were clashing violently against each other, so much so that chakra was spewing out all over the place as their hands slammed together. Whoa, it seems you were right. It was Ino that spoke, looking towards Sakura. Naruto has gotten really stronger, she said. Having enough of this, Neji took a spinning motion. Hayashi and many of the Hyugas were shocked. He slammed the rotation directly in Naruto, causing Naruto to be thrown back. Neji caught it immediately as he thrust forward and landed. He dropped in a stance that they knew all too well. 64 palms. Neji went in violently to cause some serious damage. Every strike that Neji took, as Naruto felt them hitting him, his body started to evolve, feeling the pain. The evolution that usually takes time was now becoming almost instantaneously, as Neji strikes. Neji was rather confused because it was Naruto chakra points. The amount of chakra that Neji was pushing forward to close Naruto points were not reaching them. That is when Naruto looked Neji directly in the eyes, as Neji was hitting Naruto, but yet Naruto was simply standing there, his body having evolved to block out the force of chakra that Neji was sending to his points, therefore making this technique useless against him. As Neji was confused as he took a step back, breaking off his own technique, looking at Naruto with a shocked look on his face. "I told you," said Naruto. "Fate is bullshit, because we make our own fate, and you saying that you know fate that you will win today. I'm about to prove you wrong, because you're not the only one that was seemingly cursed from your younger age. But unlike you, I had it since I was born," Naruto said, stepping forward. "And I have somehow bypassed the fate of being alone. I have friends, people I care about, precious people. And you have that too. But yet, you're not seeing it because the only thing that you're focusing on is the past and hating someone that does not deserve your hate." Naruto moved, clearing the distance between them. Neji tried to swing around, but Naruto grabbed his hand as Naruto delivered a brutal uppercut, snapping Neji's head to the sky. Neji felt pain coursing through him. As he looked up to see Naruto, Naruto spun and slammed his heel down, right in Neji's gut. Blood and spit flew from his mouth as he crashed into the surface of the ground. Naruto flipped away as he stood there. Neji staggered to his feet. "You're wrong," he said. I can't lose." He flipped out 3 kunais and launched them, as Naruto transformed into a snake, slickered through the middle before he turned into a wolf, as he ran and jumped as he turned to a bird and flew, before descending upon Neji. Naruto's fist cracked him across the face, causing Neji to stagger back. Naruto grabbed his arm and pulled him towards him before he spun him and launched him back. In mid-air, Naruto delivered 15 blows to Neji's stomach. Neji was sent into the wall as he crashed there, before he fell out and collapsed down to his knees, breathing heavily. When he looked up, Naruto stood in front of him. Neji seemed to summon a lot of strength as he got up, his hand aiming towards Naruto's chest area. However, Naruto grabbed his wrist, stopping him. "This isn't supposed to happen," he said, as Naruto leaned forward and whispered in his ear. "Fate is something that we make, something that we decide because of our actions. Hinata has done nothing to you, and now you feel how she felt. This is what she felt when you showed her that she was nothing. This is how she felt when you brutalized her, despite knowing you could have ended that match multiple other ways." Naruto said, releasing Neji as he collapsed down to the ground. He was beaten and exhausted, as the proctor jumped in and announced Naruto as the victor. At first, the place was quiet, until Uncle started to cheer Naruto on and people started to actually catch on with it. It was a surprise, as Naruto looked at the people cheering him on. Some did not make a move though. After all, they lost a lot of money betting on Neji. Hayashi excused himself from the others as he went to the infirmary, hoping to have a conversation with the young boy. It was time that he know the truth about his father, as Hayashi went to retrieve a letter before heading there. As Sasuke showed up at the last minute for his match, Naruto actually had a smirk on his face. Love making an entrance, he thought to himself. He acted like he didn't care much for it, but look at him. The Uchiha actually had a small little smirk as he gazed up and saw Naruto up there. His gaze was saying, "Look what I can do now," as Naruto was waiting to see. Sasuke went up against Gaara. Lee was rather shocked as Sasuke in 1 month was able to surpass the speed that he used in his normal state. Gaara-san wasn't able to keep up that much. However, Guy and the others were shocked when Sasuke pulled out a very powerful move, this Chidori. When he hit Gaara with it, a bloodlusted, demonic scream echoed from Gaara's cocoon, and all hell broke loose. Naruto jumped down as he saw everyone behaving strangely. What the hell is... Naruto felt strange, like he was about to fall asleep, but he shook his head and focused and looked around as he saw the people collapsing like flies. Those who were much higher immediately breaking the genjutsu and waking up some of the genins as well, including Sakura, who was in the crowd. Boom! Explosions went off as the walls exploded, as chaos reigned inside of the hidden leaf. The village was being attacked as smoke filled the box. Yes, smoke filled the box with the Hokage inside of it and the Kazekage as well. Naruto ducked, a kunai whipping past him. A sound ninja ran towards him with a kunai. Naruto ducked underneath it before delivering such a powerful uppercut. The man was out like a light, his head slamming into the steel that was near as the railing when he fell down. As Naruto looked around and ran towards where the action was taking place, where Sakura and the others were, that is when he heard another crash as Gaara had broken the wall and ran, making his way. Sasuke chasing after him. Meanwhile, Anko grabbed two ninjas by their head before slamming them together as she flipped and landed. She landed down in the stadium as four of them descended upon her. Her attacks were swift and brutal, ending their life. She was about to jump back up when she saw someone. As she looked at the person, unknowingly it was Zoldyck. As he looked at her, You will be the one," he said. Before Anko could say anything, he appeared behind her with speeds that she could not follow. Using one of the ninja's swords, he drove it through her back, bursting right through her chest. It pierced her heart. As for Naruto, it was like a sense. His sense had evolved to such a level that he felt it. It seemed almost mystical as Naruto felt a sensation before he sniffed and he smelled the blood. Naruto moved away immediately, despite the fact that Kakashi was calling out to him as Naruto jumped down and landed. The world seemed to come to a stop as Naruto looked at the ground. The first person that he could truly call a friend, a person that was like a sister to him, a person that was his precious person, that meant everything to him lying on the ground. Naruto could hear her heart from here and he was hearing nothing. As he looked at Anko's corpse, in mid-air Zoldyck was just standing there watching. Naruto did not possess the mental capability to check anything else, because seeing Anko dead, it messed him up. It messed him up badly. Within the mindscape, Kurama felt it immediately. He knew that something was wrong. That is when, shattered, the bars on the cells, they broke. Yes, the bars, the massive cage that kept the 90 at bay, shattered like glass. The fox was rather shocked. What the hell? However, that was not the problem. The seal appeared. The seal that was created with the help of death itself. The seal that was ingrained in death, life and death, the Shinigami. Immediately Kurama started to worry. Something was wrong. Really, really wrong, because despite the seal being broken, he could not leave. But that was not it. It was what was going on outside at the moment with the boy. As for the citizens of Konoha, no, not just Konoha, the entire land of fire, in that moment, everything changed. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification, stay boosted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace guys.